My name is Camilla Hayes, and 3 weeks ago I caught my fiancé Thomas and my own sister Chloe in a betrayal so absolute it rewrote the history of my family. I did not cancel the wedding. I flew to the venue, walked down the aisle, and stood before 300 guests, a justice of the peace, and a full contingency of media contacts, all for one reason: to ensure the moment of their public destruction was witnessed by the maximum possible audience. When the justice asked for my vows, I turned to the massive projection screen intended for a romantic montage and played the secret, high-definition security footage of them conspiring to steal my corporate assets after they had secured their marriage certificate. My relationship with Thomas began 5 years ago. He was a promising young architect, charming and ambitiously relentless, but without the necessary financial backing to elevate his massive proprietary development projects. I, meanwhile, had inherited my grandfather's highly respected firm, Hayes International, specializing in high-end confidential land acquisition, industrial finance, and complex municipal bonding. Our life together was defined by luxury, comfort, elegance, and a seemingly unbreakable financial security. However, the only persistent, toxic shadow in my life was my younger sister, Chloe, a woman whose profound, lifetime jealousy was a constant, barely contained venom. She saw my career success, my engagement to a socially climbing man, and my firm's immense capital as irrefutable proof of her own life's failures and missed opportunities in the professional sphere. She always found a way to inject subtle poison into my happiness, constantly questioning Thomas's loyalty or undermining my business decisions in front of family. But I dismissed it all, blinded by the ingrained notion of unquestioning familial loyalty. I convinced myself that Thomas loved my lifestyle, my influence, and my capital, but I desperately wanted to believe he loved me more than the resources I commanded. The truth, as I was about to discover, was a purely transactional disaster based on calculated risk. The true, horrifying discovery was entirely accidental, occurring just 3 days before the highly anticipated, globally publicized wedding. I had recently invested in and installed new, discreet, top-of-the-line security cameras and listening devices, a necessary precaution due to the extremely sensitive and confidential nature of the firm's contracts and the sheer volume of liquid assets processed there. The system was designed to monitor for external corporate espionage. I was remotely checking the encrypted feed while finalizing catering details at the massive venue downtown. What I saw on the screen was Thomas and Chloe, sitting comfortably at my antique mahogany desk, wine glasses in hand. They were not talking about seating charts or honeymoon plans. They were meticulously discussing, over a period of 45 minutes, how quickly Thomas could gain full signatory power on the firm's primary corporate accounts and the associated offshore trusts immediately after the marriage certificate was signed and filed. They laughed cruelly about my predictable sentimentality and my stupid trust, discussing moving the bulk of the liquid assets into a joint, untraceable account in Monaco before I could even notice the withdrawal. The footage was high definition, audio crystal clear, and the depth of the planning, including faking a complete pre-marriage financial disclosure and discussing a post-marriage prenup modification to secure maximum, unquestionable access, was horrifying, chilling me to the core. The sting was immediate, absolute, and total. It wasn't just a simple foolish act of infidelity. It was a premeditated, coordinated, and elaborate felony financial conspiracy executed by the two people closest to me in the world. They were not marrying me for love or partnership. They were enacting a hostile, meticulously planned financial takeover, orchestrated by my own blood sister, who provided the key logistical details of my firm's internal workings. I immediately secured and locked the security footage, backing it up onto a separate, uncrackable encrypted drive that would bypass all digital discovery. My entire professional identity, the firm I inherited, and my personal wealth were built on discretion and absolute control. I realized instantly that canceling the wedding would be quiet, letting them retreat, erase evidence, and re-strategize their next attack against the firm's assets. That was not an acceptable option. I needed a public exposure so devastating, so undeniable, and so globally visible that it would ruin them socially and financially forever, blocking their ability to operate in any legitimate or professional circle again. I would proceed with the wedding, turning the day of my supposed greatest vulnerability into the day of their complete, catastrophic ruin. The stage was set for their self-destruction, paid for by my own checkbook. Have you ever discovered that a major, life-defining moment in your existence was being used as a meticulously planned platform for your absolute downfall? The intense, cold, calm focus required to internally process that devastation and turn it into a strategic, calculated weapon is immense and all-consuming. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. The struggle was not legal, the evidence was perfect and irrefutable, but intensely psychological. I had to appear radiant, happy, and utterly oblivious for 3 agonizing days leading up to the ceremony.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
I went through the entire rehearsal dinner, the spa day with Chloe, who kept asking oddly specific questions about the timeline for document signing, and the final dress fitting, all while carrying the secure drive containing the evidence of their deep-seated betrayal in my purse. I did not shed a single tear, channeling every ounce of my emotional energy into maintaining the perfect mask of the blissfully ignorant bride. I contacted 2 non-uniformed, highly trained security professionals from a separate, discreet private firm, instructing them that they would be handling a serious, corporate trespassing and attempted theft issue during the ceremony, giving them explicit instructions on who to remove, how to remove them silently, and, crucially, to contact local law enforcement upon exit regarding the felony conspiracy using the digital evidence I would provide. The wedding day arrived, an extravagant televised affair I had personally funded entirely, setting the stage for maximum impact and accountability. I walked down the aisle of the vast, hushed ballroom, holding a bouquet of rare white orchids, smiling brilliantly, meeting the eyes of Thomas and Chloe, who stood side by side near the altar, their faces alight with triumphant, greedy arrogance. The turning point was the location of the wedding vows, the very heart of the ceremony. I had insisted, over Thomas's confused objections, that we use the large, state-of-the-art professional projection screen behind the altar, ostensibly to show the guests a photo montage of our romantic journey set to Vivaldi. In reality, this custom, high-definition screen connected to my encrypted drive was my primary weapon. The justice of the peace began the ceremony, and soon we reached the critical, binding moment of truth. Camilla, do you take this man to be your lawful wedded husband? I repeated the necessary initial legal words, but the moment I reached the vows, the part where I was supposed to pledge my life, my love, and my fortune to him, I executed the pivot. I looked directly at Thomas, whose eyes were shining, not with affection, but with clear financial anticipation of his future signing authority. I smiled, a genuine, cold smile of impending justice. The climax was absolute, shattering the ceremonial piece into 1,000 pieces of glass. I walked away from the altar, my dress rustling slightly, and picked up a high-powered microphone. Before I offer my vows, Thomas and Chloe wanted to offer a short, private message to the audience. I announced clearly, my voice projecting through the professional sound system across the entire room. Thomas and Chloe frowned instantly, exchanging confused, panicked glances, realizing the schedule was off. I nodded subtly to my chief technician, stationed discreetly in the sound booth, who bypassed the soft romantic music and hit play on the encrypted drive. The huge projection screen immediately filled with high-definition, time-stamped security footage. First, Thomas was clearly seen discussing the specific, easy procedure for accessing the firm's corporate funds through the newly established digital portal. Then, Chloe's voice cut through the terrifying silence, loud and clear, detailing how she had persuaded me to delay signing the final prenup amendment so Thomas could secure access to the firm's primary capital accounts before the legal window closed. The audio was undeniably damning, detailing specific dates, precise account numbers, and their plans to immediately book tickets to a non-extradition country after the initial asset transfer was complete. The ballroom instantly devolved into gasps, shouts, and utter irreversible chaos as the reality of the conspiracy unfolded before hundreds of witnesses. I watched Thomas's face turn from confusion to horror, then to white-hot, trapped panic, realizing he was caught in his own trap. Chloe tried to run, tripping over her expensive bridesmaid dress, but the rear doors were already sealed by my security detail. I walked back to the altar, dropped the microphone, and addressed the shattered, silenced room. "This is not a wedding," I stated, my voice calm, steady, and ringing with absolute finality. "It is an intervention. Thomas Thorne and Chloe Hayes are currently engaging in felony financial conspiracy, attempted theft, and corporate fraud against Hayes International. They will be removed immediately." I then paused for dramatic effect, allowing the statement to sink in, ensuring every guest understood the gravity of the crime. "However," I added, turning to the 300 stunned guests, "the catering is superb. The $15,000 bar tab is paid for. The live band is ready, and this is now officially a celebration of my freedom and solvency. Enjoy the singles party." The two non-uniform security guards immediately moved in with efficient speed, grabbing Thomas and Chloe by the arms. They were screaming denials, shouting pleas of innocence, and trying to claw their way back, as they were efficiently escorted past their horrified family members, business associates, and friends. The victory was public, irrevocable, and professionally executed. I did not give them a chance to whisper lies, delete evidence, or offer flimsy excuses. Their financial betrayal was undeniable, projected in 4K resolution for every business associate, relative, and social contact to witness. I spent the rest of the evening mingling with the guests, enjoying the open bar and the atmosphere of shocked vindication, while Thomas and Chloe were being interviewed by police who were waiting outside, immediately informed of the felony attempt using the undeniable, documented proof I had provided. My freedom, financially and emotionally, was secured by my own foresight and my firm's resources. The shame of their public exposure will follow them forever, blocking them from the very financial and social circles they sought to enter using my name, making future employment in any legitimate sector impossible. Thomas's architectural licenses are now under review, and Chloe faces criminal charges for corporate complicity. I used my wedding day not to promise a future to a liar, but to finally celebrate my liberty from two toxic people who learned that the only thing more dangerous than a betrayed woman is a betrayed woman with corporate surveillance, irrefutable evidence, and a sound system. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to enjoy more revenge and inspiring stories like this one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments and tell us what you think about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.